Hello everyone, Sevaro, Namaste, Sat Shri Akal. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Sri Talkies Canada. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Srijana and I'm coming to you from the beautiful city of Toronto in Canada. I run an immigration firm based out of Toronto, and I'm a licensed immigration practitioner. So I'm happy to come to you with everything that is relevant and topical from the world of immigration, and alongside also share my own journey, having come to Canada as a single woman. So I hope you find value and that my journey augments your own and that you derive value and inspiration from it. Now, even though in the last episode I said very specifically that this particular episode was going to be on IELTS, how best to prepare for it, how to gun for your aspirational score, but I have decided to do a little sort of shift in topics, and today I will be talking about pathways to come to Canada. This is because before I get into the details of preparing and particularly IELTS, I feel like it is better if I tell you about the broad pathways that can bring you to Canada, and then graduate into talking about how to prepare and what's required, etc. So today's episode is going to give you a very broad overview of the various programs and pathways that are available to bring you to Canada. The first pathway is coming here as a student. Now, this is an extremely popular route. It's also a very recommended route of gaining permanent residence in Canada. So when you come as a student, you choose your designated learning institute, which means a university, a private college, whatever be your preference, and they offer you a spot in one of their programs. So once you have an offer from an institute of choice in Canada, if all of your finances are in place, you apply for a study permit and you're approved, you can come to Canada and start your study process. Now, depending on what the duration of your study program is, at the end of your study duration, you will get what is known as a postgraduate work permit. So it's Canada's way of saying it's great that you've studied here, invested the time, energy, and effort. Here's your opportunity to gather valuable Canadian work experience. So a postgraduate work permit is an open work permit, which is great because it allows you to work for any employer, any province, any number of hours. That's the advantage of getting a postgraduate work permit. It is one that advantages you significantly in your permanent residence journey, because after you gather 1 year of experience, by virtue of your PGWP, you will be able to qualify for Canadian residence fairly easily under what is known as the Canadian Experience Class. Amongst other requirements for the Canadian Experience Class, the number one tenet or the number one requirement is 1 year of full-time work experience or equivalent in part-time of work experience in Canada. So the study pathway creates a very, very tangible, sustainable, long-term stay route for you here in Canada. So I would recommend to anyone watching me, if you are fairly young, under 35, if you do have the resources, the inclination and the time to be able to invest in a study program in Canada, it is a wonderful way of coming and learning more about the country, the culture, gather soft skills, language skills, and also the job process becomes a lot easier because 80% of jobs in Canada are actually not publicly advertised. You get access to these job offerings or job postings by way of your social networks, by your connections on LinkedIn, your alumni, your placement cell in college, etc. So it is a very, very popular route for a lot of people wanting to come to Canada, and I would encourage anybody who does have the resources and the inclination to take advantage of the study pathway. The second way in which you can come to Canada is by getting a work permit. Now, this is a very sort of nebulous area because I do know of a lot of people who have paid very, very hefty amounts of money to agencies in India in the hope of receiving an offer letter and a work permit. Please realize that before any work offer or before any offer of employment is handed over to a foreign worker, Canadian companies or organizations or employers have to prove to the government that there was a genuine skills void, and that's why that job was going or is going to another foreign worker. So that is a very, very long process for employers. So they have to prove to a department known as Economic and Social Development Canada that they advertised for that job in 4 or more job sites here in Canada, and that every permanent resident or citizen who applied for that particular position was interviewed. And because they couldn't find a skilled enough worker here, that now the foreign worker is the only one qualified to do that particular job. So this, as you can see, is a very long-winded process, and oftentimes it's very difficult for employers to prove that there was no one in Canada good enough to do that job. This process is known as LMIA, Labor Market Impact Assessment. And so if there's anyone in India or in your country of residence promising you a job in Canada, it's important for you to check if the job offer is LMIA approved, which means the employer has gone through the rigors of the process and that they have the approval from the Canadian government to hire a foreign worker. A lot of times employers take really, obnoxious amounts of money from clients who are naive and want a job offer at any cost, but you have to be very discerning about which agency you're working with and make sure that you've had one-on-one conversations or Zoom interview calls, etc. with the employer. It is a definite red flag if you've never communicated with the employer and if there's some agency that's just out of the blue promising you a job offer. So you have to be careful about getting a job offer, but once you do have a job offer, you can apply for a work permit and then you can come and start your work stint in Canada. And then once you've gathered a certain amount of work experience, you can then again apply for permanent residence. So it's also a very facilitative pathway, but the caveat here is that it is not easy to get a work offer and then the associated work permit approval. Now, Canada is very, very popular for granting skilled workers permanent residence. So the next pathway I'm going to talk about is coming to Canada as a permanent resident. So the first pathway is, of course, the Express Entry program. This is extremely popular, and the Express Entry program has allowed a lot of skilled workers from around the world to come to Canada. I am myself a product of the Express Entry system, and in one of my in a future video perhaps I will share with you my Express Entry journey, but the Express Entry program is a particularly popular one, and since its inception in the year 2015, it's ensured that Canada does get a very steady flow of skilled workers from around the world. So the Express Entry is Canada's sort of application management system for 3 very, very important immigration programs: the Federal Skilled Worker Program, the Federal Skilled Trade Program, and the Canadian Experience Class that I mentioned earlier. Now, the Express Entry is based on the holistic profile of an applicant. So it gives you skills for different profile parameters. So there are huge chunks of scores for age, for your academic qualifications, for language fluency, and also for things like number of years of work experience in your home country, the credentials of the spouse, etc. If you have Canadian work experience or qualification, you get significant extra points, but you can apply for Express Entry, or you can apply under the Express Entry program without a job offer from Canada or without any Canadian qualification, just like I did. So that's the Express Entry program. It gives you points for various profile parameters, and at the end you get what is known as a cumulative CRS score. And once your score is set in stone, you are in the Express Entry pool and you wait for what is known as an ITA, or an invitation to apply for permanent residence from the federal government. Once you do get the invitation, you can apply for permanent residence. How do you get the invitation? Now, the Government of Canada does almost bi-weekly draws, and they select profiles with a certain score and above. So for Canada, unlike other countries, there isn't a fixed score. Every time there's a draw, the government decides on a particular score. So when I applied, my score was was 450 plus, and the draw happened at about 444. So everybody with 444 and above received an invitation to apply. So this is how the draw system plays out. Once you receive the invitation to apply, you put in your PR application, and processing times are about 6 to 7 months, and you get what is known as a confirmation of permanent residence, or COPR, at the end of the process. That document allows you to enter Canada and register yourself as a permanent resident. Now, if you do not have enough points under the express entry system, you can apply for what is known as the provincial nomination programs. So like India has states, Canada has provinces and territories. So in total, there are 10 provinces and 3 territories in Canada, and all 13 of them, in a way, run their unique PNP systems, or they run immigration programs where they select skilled workers that are needed in the province. So the criteria for every province is different, because some provinces might have a skills void in a certain area. Say, for example, Ontario wants more people in the realm of technology to come in, whereas Alberta might want more healthcare workers, or some other province might want people specialized in a different area altogether. So provinces have different criteria requirements. Please note, Quebec does not have a PNP program, but they have their own unique system for bringing in immigrants under the skilled pathways. So the PNP offers a diverse and a broad range of pathways. So the 13 provinces in Canada collectively have about 80 PNP pathways for immigrants or skilled workers around the world to take advantage of. The PNP system runs very much like the express entry system, in that it gives prospective applicants points for various profile parameters. So they take into consideration an applicant's skills, work experience, academic qualifications, English language abilities, etc. PNP can be active or passive. If it's an active PNP program, you can apply to the province and you can make an application with all of your details, whereas if it's a passive one, then you cannot apply to the province yourself, but if the province does select your profile from the express entry pool, you receive a direct invitation. A PNP nomination gives you 600 extra points in the CRS system. So a PNP is one of the most effective ways of bolstering, or the most effective way of bolstering, your overall CRS score, because you get 600 additional points the moment you receive a PNP nomination. So apart from these two permanent residence programs, if your age is beyond 40, say for example, or if you are not positioned very favorably in the CRS scheme of things because of age, etc., then you might want to consider other immigration programs that are more sort of business and entrepreneurial focused. So the first one is the Startup Visa Program, which is a federal program in which you have to have a business idea that has to stand the test of funding in Canada. So you have to have a business idea that is then funded by a Canadian venture capitalist or an angel investor, and you also have to be accepted by a business incubation program. So it has to be a really good sort of business idea. The other one is the Provincial Business Immigration Programs. So every province also has business immigration programs for high net worth individuals. So if you want to come to Canada and start a business, or if there's a business here already that you can invest in, then you can also go through the rigors of the business immigration programs and come here on a work permit and start work on the business, which will then eventually yield you your much desired permanent resident status in Canada. I know it's a lot of sort of immigration jargon and lingo, and all of this is not easy to process and understand. If any of you guys want personalized immigration solutions, or if you want me to have a look into your particular case and do a deep dive into your profile and suggest what the best pathway is, then please feel free to book a consultation with me. I operate under my license, and I provide end-to-end service with regards to providing guidance, the written material, representing your case with the visa office, etc. I will leave the link to booking a consultation with me in the description below. So thank you so much for your time in this particular video, guys. This was a lot of information, so happy to answer any questions. and I hope to see you in the next one with more information around immigration and life in Canada. Thank you for your time, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.